Hello, welcome to the Willow Show, your home for a wealth in health and in sexual vitality. My name is Willow and I am your sexpert for the hormonally challenged. And I'm so excited today because we're going to talk about female orgasms. Yay! So female orgasms, what a great topic. Who doesn't want to talk about female orgasms? Maybe a lot of people in the world don't, but nobody I know. Everyone I know, we like to talk about orgasms. So let's talk about them. So there's three kinds of female orgasms that can be had. And, of course, there's when we talk about orgasm, there's always this like possible energetic orgasm. It's not so much of a physical thing, but it's like you can access orgasmic energy brushing your teeth or washing your hands or walking down a beautiful street and looking at the incredible trees that are on that street. So you can really create an orgasmic experience with anything and everything that you do. But right now, when we talk about these three types of female sexual orgasms, we're actually talking about the ones that you have that are traditionally thought of as orgasms. So the first one, of course, that many, many people are familiar with is the clitoral orgasm. And I'd say this is probably usually the easiest one for the majority of women to have, is to have a clitoral orgasm. And the clitoral orgasm is, first of all, when we think about the clitoris, all we think about is maybe this one little teeny tiny little piece of the body that we can access from the outside. And what's interesting is that there's actually a whole structure inside of your body that makes up the clitoris. It kind of looks like a wishbone. So it's got this little head that we know about, and then it comes into the skin, and from there it's got maybe like an inch long shaft. If this were the head and this is the inch long shaft, and then it divides from there and it makes two legs. So these two legs of the clitoris then go deeper into the vaginal, the introitus, the vaginal opening, and then it's got these other little beautiful little wings. It's such a beautiful structure, the clitoris. And so when the first thing to know about the clitoris is there's 8,000 nerve endings right on the head of it. And for many, many women, the upper left quadrant of that little tiny head is where most of those nerve endings are found. So first of all, we're working with like this tiny surface, and then we're moving to just a quarter of that tiny surface. So it's really important to know where your nerve endings are on your clitoral head, and then also to be able to massage and pinch and play with the legs of the clitoris as they go into your body. So that's why clitoral orgasms are most easy for the majority of women, is because it's actually this structure in your body that is solely for the experience of pleasure. That's its only objective, to receive pleasure. Next time I'm coming back in my next life as a clitoris, because if that's the only thing that structure is meant to do, is just to receive pleasure. I mean, what an incredible thing to have inside of your body as a woman. Men don't have this. And when a male and a female are developing in the embryo, the structure of the penis and the structure of the clitoris are the same structures, but they develop depending on your gender, right? So we've got just as much erectile tissue as the penis. Ours is just inside of our bodies. So clitoral orgasms generally tend to be more of a spike and then a drop. After you've had a really good clitoral orgasm, you're kind of done. You don't really want to have another one and another one and another. So you're not really going for multiples when you're having clitoral. This is not across the board. This is a generalization. But generally speaking, after having a clitoral peak orgasm, it drops, the energy kind of dissipates, and then you're ready for rest. If you're having a vaginal orgasm, this is more of a rounded, kind of a full type of orgasm, and an orgasm that can actually carry on. And this is where you could start to have more multiple orgasms, is with the vaginal orgasm. So you really roll the energy from one orgasmic peak right into another orgasmic peak. And that's a fun thing to play with. That's just a fun practice. Vaginal orgasms are sometimes a lot harder for women to experience. And I believe that's because there's so much tension inside of the pelvic bowl. So you know how you get those knots in your shoulders and your neck, and you know, all those little knots in your back? Those same knots form inside of the pelvic bowl. So unless you've had a practitioner go in and release those nodules of tension, it's the vaginal bowl, the vaginal muscles there can feel kind of painful. It can feel uncomfortable to have a lot of stimulation in there. So it's important, if you have a pelvic floor practitioner in your area, it's important to reach out to them and see if you can get a pelvic floor release session. And if you don't have someone in your area, then you can go in and you can do it yourself. And you basically are going to go into your vagina and press against the walls of your pelvic bowl and find points of tension that are very, very sensitive when you very first start doing this practice. And they're very sensitive, and you just press with pretty strong pressure. You press and you breathe, and you might cry, and you release, and you just let it go. And then you're going to have a lot more space inside of your pelvic bowl. Sex is going to feel totally different, and you are much more likely to have a vaginal orgasm if you've never had one before. It's a fun thing to play with. You could also teach your partner to do this sort of acupressure stuff inside of your vaginal walls and bowl for you, if you would like to try to teach him to do that. If he's a willing partner, then keep him, you know, teach him and keep him. And then we've got the blended orgasm. So the blended orgasm is coming from the vagina and the clitoris at the same time. So the blended orgasm is a very, very powerful, because you've got that rolling sensation, that holistic sort of overall vaginal orgasm experience that can really feel like it reverberates throughout your whole body. And you've got that peak going on as well. So you've got two sort of things happening at the same time. And this is, a lot of times, this is where Amrita will come in. So if you've never heard of this word before, Amrita, this is the word, it's the Sanskrit word for female ejaculation. So female ejaculation is the fluid that comes out of your vagina when you have an orgasm. What exactly is this fluid? Well, it's been speculated that what happens is so much blood is rushing to your vagina, rushing to that area that's being stimulated. Similar to a penis. The penis is so much blood rushing into it to keep it hard, to keep it stimulated. It's the same thing that's going on inside of you. So much blood is rushing in that actually what happens is more blood wants to keep coming, but there's no more room for it. So what happens is the serum, the liquid from the blood separates from the actual blood cells, and the liquid is released. And that's what Amrita is. It's released. And sometimes it comes through an orgasm. Sometimes it just flows out on its own without an actual orgasm coming with it. So it really can look very, very different from woman to woman, and from moment to moment, from experience to experience. And the main thing to remember about experiencing Amrita is that you really want to be able to relax and allow it to come through you. It's a very much a cleansing experience. It's very much like a waterfall coming through you. And if you've ever breastfed before, it's a little bit of that same sensation of milk let down that you feel into your nipples. So it's you have to be relaxed. If you breastfed, then you can't have milk let down if you're stressed out or overstimulated. So you really have to relax and soften into it. Just allow it to come. Don't try to make it happen. Don't work really hard for it. You know, it's very much a yin experience, meaning you have to be able to step into that divine receptivity that is yours by birthright, because you are a woman. So much power in receptivity, and we forget about the medicine and the power of just receiving life instead of going out and getting it in that more masculine or yang way, allowing it to come to you, allowing it to be moved through you. And this is a very regal thing. It's a very sovereign thing. You know, it's like you're a queen on your throne and life is coming to you. You don't have to go out and work really hard for it. So those are the 3 types of sexual orgasm. We've got the clitoral, the vaginal, and the blended. And then from those, a possibility of Amrita. And again, just fun things to play with. There are no goals, and it doesn't mean you're more sexual or more amazing if you've had Amrita or not, or if you've never had an orgasm before. It doesn't mean that you're less of a woman or anything like that. Having an orgasm is a beautiful balance between relaxation and stimulation. And so you have to be authentic with it. You have to know where you stand. It has nothing to do with anyone else other than what's going on for you, including your partner. Okay, so orgasms are coming from inside of you. If you had some incredible orgasm with some guy one time, you know, it wasn't him who gave you that orgasm. It was you who gave you that orgasm. It comes from you. And, you know, what's the most orgasmic organ in your body? Is it down here? No, it's up here. It's your brain. So use your consciousness, use your awareness to soften, to be present, to be authentic with what's really true and what really feels good for you. Okay, any questions, any comments, please email me. I love to hear them. support@yinwellness.com, and we will see you on the next episode. Namaste.